I want to show you how to use StatCrunch to sort data for the purposes of Chapter 2 or any other reason you might need to sort it. When you're doing frequency tables, instead of having to go through all of the data one piece at a time and do a tally sheet, it is way, way easier, quicker, more accurate to have the data sorted so that all of the data that's in the same category is right there together. So let's see how we can go ahead and do that in StatCrunch. We're going to be using StatCrunch constantly throughout this entire course, and I want to make sure that you feel comfortable using it from the very beginning. So let's see what we got here. Chapter 2, Section 1. This is problem number 6. So it's one of the first ones where you'd find it really useful to go ahead and use StatCrunch. In this case, we have 30 screw lengths. They've measured the lengths of 30 screws that are supposed to be 1.5 inches long. And here's our data over here. When you see this kind of icon, that is a data table. If we click on it, you're going to see we've got 1, 2, 3 rows of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns. So that's 30 data. So let me pull that up in a second. Now they're telling us to start out with a lower class limit of 1.470 and to use a class width of 0.010. Now this does not mean and is not intended to suggest that if you had a bunch of data, somehow you should miraculously always come up with the same place to start, the same number of widths of classes, the same class width. That is kind of up to the person who's doing the data. However, in order for the computer to be able to grade this stuff, they have to fix it so that everybody's going to have the same answer if it's correct. So that's why they're telling us to start with this particular lower class limit and to use this particular class width, so that, and obviously there are 5 different categories here. They didn't bother to state that, but it's kind of a done deal. So you always start with your first lower class limit for your first group. And you take the class width and you add that to each lower limit to get all of your lower limits. So if we're adding 1/100th to each of these, it's going to increase the hundredths place. So 1.47 will go to 1.48, to 1.49, to 1.50, 1.51. And you can put the zeros in or not. Now, the upper class boundary, the upper class limit, sorry, is going to be 1 smaller in the units that they're using. If we want to put the zeros in here, maybe that'll make it easier to see. Throw in these zeros. They don't make any difference for the number. The number that is 1 unit lower as far as the units we're using here, three decimal places. 1 lower than 480 would be 479. So this is going to be 1.479. Next one's going to be 1.89, 1.499. An increase of 10 from 499 would be 509, so 1.509. Notice that's 1 smaller than 510, and this is going to be 1.519. Now, to get the frequency, we've got to use the data table. So let me pull that up. here are our numbers. We could do this by doing a tally. You'd have to do it on scratch paper, of course. So the 1.476 would fall in this first category. 1.507 would fall in the fourth one, and so on. But it's so much more accurate to get the data sorted. So let's see how we would do this in StatCrunch. If I click on this button over here in the corner, and that would normally look like this double page here. So it's a page on top of a page. So I click on that, it says open a StatCrunch. Now, a trick. If I go over here and click on this, notice StatCrunch closes up. So then I have to come, where is it going to be? I have to come over here and open it back up again. But if you split the screen, if I pull one of these over to the right, all the way over, and then take the other screen I want to look at and pull it to the left, and this one went ahead and split, but I could pull it over. As long as they don't overlap, I can go back and forth from one to the other without it closing the other one. So this way I can see both of them. Now, all of my data over here has been loaded in over here, same order. This has got the first three. No, I guess this has got the first row. There's a 507 in both. Either way you go, you got 507 over here. So anyway, this has got the first row and then the second row and then the third row all in one column. To sort this, I want to click on data. I guess I could just go on it. Click on sort. You might want to write this down just to remind you. Now, the columns to sort, I've only got one column, so that's kind of irrelevant here. If I had multiple columns that were in like a table, I would probably want to sort it so that each row stayed together. So I would go through and select my columns that I wanted to use. To select multiple columns, notice here it says select more than one with a shift click or a control click. So you just hold it down and then drag it through them. So that's optional at this point. You do, however, have to select a sort criteria. It doesn't assume just because you've only got one column that that's the column you want to sort on, although there's not any other choice. So you have to select the column you want to use to sort. Down here, oh, and you can choose to do it from ascending to descending, from small to large or large to small. You can choose to either replace your current column so that it'll sort it and put it back where it is now, or you can create a new column so that you have both orders available, and then select compute. And notice that the order is now changed. I've got it from smallest to the largest. So I can come over here. I'm going to close that out so I can see more of the problem. So the numbers that fall in the 1.470 to 1.479 range would be anything that has a 7 in the hundredths place. So we've got 1, 2, we've got 2 of them. So I'm going to enter my 2. The 1.48, I've got 1, 2, 3 of them. 1.49, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 50, 1.50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wait a minute, I got to pull some down. Let me make sure I got the whole thing. Okay, let me start over to check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Looks like 13. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's add this up and make sure it actually, oops, Okay, well, I guess it added up to 30. I would suggest you add this up and make sure it adds up to 30. Okay, so that's how you would do this. It really will make things go a little bit quicker. When you're just doing a frequency table, you know, it's too easy to skip one or do one twice or whatever. So hopefully this will make it a little bit easier for you. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any trouble with it, and I will see you later.